Lucille Marin, behavioral psychologist, expert in emotional engineering, or so she introduced herself. But in reality, Lucille was an elite corporate spy, hired for the kind of mission that demands surgical precision and no room for empathy. Her mission? To infiltrate Delacroix dynamics, to observe, to record, to spy, and most of all, to understand Ezra Delacroix, the most inaccessible billionaire on the planet. The building had no reception, no windows, no names on the doors, just hidden sensors and heavy silences. Lucille entered the main room, guided by a nonverbal assistant. In the dim blue light, dozens of screens displayed faces. Smiles, twitches, frozen micro-expressions. Each image was accompanied by numbers, empathy, fear, lies, desire. And then he appeared. Ezra Delacroix. Black suit, unshaven beard, clinical gaze. Lucille Marin, he said, your heart rate went up 7% when you came in. Are you nervous or excited? She smiled, checking her pulse, maybe curious. For days, Lucille was subjected to an unconventional routine. No meetings or spreadsheets, just tests. Choose who would you save, the programmer or the investor. Detect the lie in the video in 2 seconds. Write an emotional script from 3 facial expressions. Ezra watched from afar. He didn't say if he was satisfied, but he asked questions, increasingly personal ones. Have you ever fallen in love with someone you didn't trust? What do you do when you feel like you're being watched? Lucille answered firmly, but every time she left the room, she felt he had taken something from her. A thought, a memory, a reflection. At night, at the hotel, Lucille recorded mission reports. Ezra Delacroix maintains a calculated emotional distance. He gauges the reactions of everyone around him, including mine. There's something compulsive in the way he observes, as if he is searching for a flaw in the world. But there was a contradiction. She couldn't take her eyes off him, and that was then part of the plan. On Friday, Ezra invited her to dinner, but there was no food. The table was a glass structure with printed files inside. Her files, photos from her teenage years, emotional insights she thought were buried. You lie better than anyone I've ever seen, he said, but your loneliness is real. Lucille swallowed hard. And you? What are you hiding behind that precision? Ezra approached. Everything that even I don't understand. The next morning, Lucille accessed a restricted terminal. He found a file named Alina_memory. It was an old recording of an unknown woman. She was talking to Ezra, laughing, touching his hand, and for a moment, he seemed human. The screen suddenly went black, and his voice came from behind her. It wasn't a system error. I'll let you see that. Why? Ezra responded with a barely noticeable smile. Because you're doing exactly what she did. Trying to figure me out. Lucille, shaken, left the room. She was no longer spying. She was trapped in a maze, made of mirrors, memories, and a man who was impossible to read. Lucille decided to change her approach. If Ezra controlled everything through algorithms, she needed to get into the code. But not the digital code, the emotional code. She began to notice the invisible patterns. Ezra never touched anyone. He always sat against the light, and he asked the same 3 questions, but in different orders, depending on the person he was talking to. It was as if he was testing variables, people as variables. During an authorized access to the research wing, Lucille found references to an experimental program, Alpha 3, Automated Human Predictable, effective language and emotional AI model created by Ezra to predict and modulate bonds. Are you turning emotions into equations? She asked. Ezra replied without hesitation. I'm trying to understand what can't be trusted to intuition. Like love, she countered. Like lying, he said. Lucille began testing Ezra. He teased him with unexpected questions. What would you do if everything fell apart tomorrow? Have you ever really cried? He answered evasively, but his eyes betrayed the effort. Until, at the end of a meeting, she said, "You're not as impenetrable as you want to seem." Ezra stared at her for long seconds. Is this a warning or a promise? Lucille noticed a drop in performance on the company's central servers. She reported the problem, only to find that no one else had noticed. Stranger still, Ezra knew, but he wasn't doing anything about it. The system is adjusting, he explained. Or falling apart? Ezra smiled. Sometimes collapse is the only path to reconstruction. That night, Lucille found a note on her bedroom door. Room 318. No cameras. No algorithms. Just you and me. She went. Ezra was there. No suit. No shoes. No defenses. Today, I don't want to know what you feel, he said. I want you to show me what you hide. Lucille approached. I hide the fact that I don't know which side I'm on anymore. He touched her face for the first time, and he said nothing more. Lucille tried to keep the mission going. She kept sending encrypted reports, but the words came more slowly, certainty more distant. The morning after the ringing, Lucille ran away. He called a taxi, turned on the panic signal, tried to leave the safe area of the building, but the door did not open. Ezra was waiting for her in the hallway. I knew you would try to escape, so why didn't you stop me? Because you had to try. What now? Now you decide if you want to continue, or understand why all this scares you so much. Ezra showed him a room with old recordings, videos of him as a child, videos of a woman, maybe Alina, and files of her, of Lucille, some dated before she was hired. Have you been watching me? Even before I hired you. You were the only pattern I couldn't predict. Lucille stepped back. That's not seduction. That's manipulation. Ezra nodded. That's how the world works. I just stopped pretending I don't notice. Lucille decided to turn the tables. He asked questions. When was the last time you cried? Have you ever wished you could die? Do you believe you deserve to be loved? Ezra replied without blinking. I don't remember. I've wished for it. I don't know what deserve means. She smiled. For the first time, not in sarcasm, but in pain. So we're two broken people trying to decipher each other's pain. Ezra took a deep breath. The difference is, you still believe it can be fixed. She was the one who approached. He couldn't resist. No surveillance. No control. No protocols. It was raw. Intense. No words at all. And in the end, Ezra just said, "Now, everything is out of my reach." Lucille knew. They had crossed the line, and nothing would ever go back to the way it was before. Lucille began to notice details she had previously ignored. Ezra napped for only 22 minutes a night. His shoes were always new, identical, but different every week. And his personal password changed every 12 hours, even without outside access. His obsession with control was absolute, and yet, he let her sleep next to him, as if he was waiting for her to do something. Lucille attempted to access the most protected room in the building, Core 0. When he approached his badge, the terminal denied access. Ezra appeared seconds later. "Not yet," he said. "When then?" Ezra stared at her, silent. "When you stop trying to understand me, and start feeling what I feel." She didn't answer. Because I no longer knew where the work ended and where the abyss began. Lucille received an anonymous message. you're not the first. Alina also believed she could save him. Attached is a video. Alina crying, trapped in a dark elevator, repeating. He wants to understand, but he doesn't know what he feels. Lucille froze. Who is she? Asked Ezra. The one that made me believe that there could be something outside the code. And what happened? I lost her because I tried to protect her. Lucille knew what was coming next. She was also at risk. In the early hours of the morning, Ezra took Lucille to a room never shown. Inside it, another room. No screens, no furniture, just mirrors. This is where I turn everything off. No recording, no analysis. Not even my mind works here. Lucille looked around. And why did you bring me? Ezra walked closer. Because I'm tired of trying to control something that maybe just needs to be lived. They embraced, but there was no peace. There was fear, because the chaos now was inside him. And her. What happens when absolute control meets unpredictable love? It collapses. Silently. Inside. Ezra began to miss meetings. Their systems began to fail. Prediction algorithms began to generate irrational results. Effective responses where there should be logic. System messages with phrases like, I miss it. I don't understand, but I feel it. Lucille watched the collapse and knew she was part of it. Ezra took her to the central server. It's all here. All the data. All the logic. But it doesn't work like it used to. Why? Because you changed the variables. Me? You showed me something I can't quantify. Lucille touched the screen. Maybe not everything needs to be quantified. Ezra looked at her as if he had heard it for the first time. And for the first time, believed it. Ezra stopped speaking for 2 days. Lucille stayed by his side. Cooked, read, slept near him. On the 3rd day, he said, Do you know why I remained silent? No, because I was afraid to say anything that would push you away. Lucille smiled. Sometimes, silence can also be a request to stay. A security breach exposed Lucille's name to the world. Newspapers said, Spy infiltrates Delacroix Dynamics. She was summoned by her true employers. They wanted her to end it all. Or they would. Ezra didn't say a word. He just handed her a flash drive. It's all here. The files. The backups. You decide what to do with it. Lucille held the flash drive as if it held his heart. Or her own. There are things that even the most analytical cannot confess. Because to admit is to give up control. And Ezra Delacroix was control in its purest form. Lucille confronted him that night. Do you want me to stay? Ezra hesitated. I don't know how to ask. Lucille replied firmly. Then show me how you feel. Ezra stepped closer, but didn't touch her. When you're not here, everything stops making sense. And when you are, I'm afraid of breaking. Lucille just said, We're already broken. What's left is to decide whether we're going to glue the pieces together or bleed apart. Lucille tried to run away again. Not out of fear of him, but out of fear of what she was becoming there. I went on this mission to unmask a monster, and I found someone trying to become human. She said on the phone with her contractors, on the other end of the line, then finish it, or you will be finished with him. Ezra revealed his plan. I'm going to fake my digital death, erase all traces, and disappear. Lucille looked at him, shocked. That's escape. This is survival. But I don't want to go alone. She took a deep breath. If we go together, we will have nothing left. Ezra held her hand. Maybe all we need is each other. Ezra left one last recording on the Delacroix Dynamics network. No name, no signature. It just said, if you're watching this, it's because I choose to feel. Even if it costs everything. Even if it destroys me. Lucille watched the video for the last time, and he deleted the file with trembling hands. It was dawn. Light rain on the glass of the private jet. Lucille was holding a small suitcase. Ezra, a black backpack, and his mind in programmed collapse. The plan was ready. Disappear from the global network. Let the algorithms take care of the company. Let the world believe in its downfall. But there was something unforeseen. She still hesitated. If we go, the There's no going back, Lucille said. Ezra replied, what is behind no longer exists. Hours before departure, Lucille received an anonymous email. Ezra lied. You weren't the only one. He's done it before. Attachment photos of another woman, other missions. She confronted Ezra. What is that? Ezra just stared. My past trying to stop me from moving on. Have you manipulated other women? I tried to understand, and I failed. And me, with you, I stopped trying to understand. I just started feeling. They spent hours in silence. Lucille packing slowly. Ezra sitting in the dark. Are you still leaving? She asked. Only if you come with me. What if I don't go? I stay. But I ceased to exist as Ezra Delacroix. Lucille knew. His choice was hers. Lucille did not respond. He just got on the jet. Ezra got on next. Nobody spoke. But when the plane took off, she held his hand. Tight. And he cried for the first time. Without understanding why. But feeling everything. Disappearing from the digital world was harder than erasing a name. But Ezra did it. With Lucille by his side, he became invisible, and for the first time free. They settled in a secluded house in the Italian Alps. No network, no system, no control. Ezra learned to cook. Lucille read poetry, and the silences were no longer threats. They were refuges. One night by the fireside, Lucille asked, do you still miss your systems? Ezra smiled. Sometimes. But now, for the first time, I sleep without backup. And fear, it's still here. But now it has a name, and it doesn't dominate me. She rested her head on his shoulder. What if this is all just a simulation? Ezra replied, then it's the only one worth living. Lucille discovered she was pregnant. It wasn't part of the plan. Ezra was silent for a long time. Then he said, I can't predict what this will do to me, but I want to be here to find out. She cried, not out of fear, but of relief. Ezra Delacroix, the man who tried to turn emotion into code, who sought absolute control over everything he touched, and who, in the end, was saved by that which no machine could measure, the surrender of another heart. Lucille Marin, the woman who was hired to spy on him, and decided silently to love him. Silence, just the sound of the wind, and the certainty that chaos may be the only place where reality is born.